My name is Daniel. I'm a speaker for Nehemiah Reset. Today I want to continue the discussion on Trump's interest in Greenland. The second video in our Greenland series will show different approaches that can be taken toward Greenland. Greenland should advance its autonomy process by implementing the most direct approach, which enables it to achieve independence from Denmark in its ongoing territorial development. Greenland should receive extended authority over resource management and international relations, and defense matters while maintaining specific Danish ties. The Danish connection provides security and financial support, which Greenland needs to grow its economy and institutions at a sustainable rate through this gradual approach. Greenlanders must be given control over their independence schedule because this method honors the self-determination principle. Many Greenlanders remain dedicated to achieving complete independence, although they do not yet know the specific time frame and conditions for reaching this goal. The process requires establishing economic foundations that will generate revenue to substitute for Danish subsidies and defense and foreign relations mechanisms which need to be established. Negotiations with Denmark would focus on how to divide assets between the two countries and which areas financial assistance would cover and which areas the two countries would continue to work together. The process might require creating new security arrangements, which could include partnerships with the United States or NATO. Some experts advocate for a free association structure which functions like the free association ties between the United States and Palau and Marshall Islands. The arrangement grants Greenland complete control over its territory, but requires Greenland to maintain ties with Denmark and the United States for certain designated activities. The current relationship contains benefits for Greenland, which this model could preserve while it grants the country more control over certain territories. The United States could establish relationships with other countries, which includes the United States, without formal transfer of sovereignty through this approach. The combination of Greenlandic and Danish opposition makes formal acquisition seem impossible, while American integration continues through security partnerships and scientific research and economic development. The U.S. will develop stronger connections with Greenland through projects that involve infrastructure development and security partnerships and scientific research collaborations. American strategic objectives will find resolution through this approach, which enables Greenland to achieve its self-determination goals. Greenland will determine how power shifts among Arctic countries. Greenland, who gains independence, will preserve its close relationship with Denmark and the United States, which will result in power distribution remaining unchanged, while China and Russia establish new regional power dynamics. The United States regards Greenland as essential because it helps maintain Arctic stability and prevents other countries from achieving dominance in the region. The United States maintains serious interest in Greenland because it wants to understand Greenlandian.com regardless of its ability to formally acquire the land. Greenland's resource wealth has grown in significance because worldwide demand for rare earth minerals and other resources keeps increasing. The island's resource development capabilities will determine supply, chain dynamics, and technological advances because it must balance environmental requirements with economic stability. Greenland's resource development plans have attracted interest from major world powers who want to form partnerships and make investments. Greenland faces both advantages and disadvantages from the global competition which exists between nations that want to achieve economic independence. Greenland's massive ice sheet, which contains enough water to raise global sea levels by over 7 meters, if completely melted, makes the island central to perceived climate change discussions. The future of Greenland has significant consequences for the protection of the world's environmental security. The Arctic will undergo scientific research and environmental monitoring through Greenland, which will expand its research role as climate change continues to evolve. The island's position enables scientists to research melting ice pack effects while they create methods to adapt to climate changes. The future of American military facilities in Greenland, particularly Patuxent Space Base, will be crucial to regional security arrangements. The United States will require new agreements for the facilities after Greenland reaches its future status change. Greenland's decisions about its future will affect NATO defense strategies in the Arctic region because NATO works to limit Russian and Chinese power in this territory. The island serves as an essential element of Arctic defense systems because of its location. NATO member states need to prevent potential Russian and Chinese control over Greenland through Trump's Greenland talks, which could serve as the necessary prompting to make this happen. Greenland's economic potential remains undiscovered because only limited areas have been explored and current market conditions remain unpredictable. The preliminary estimates indicate that Greenland possesses substantial resource wealth, which includes rare earth elements essential for manufacturing modern technological products. The United States and its competitors Russia and China have serious concerns about Greenland because of its resource wealth. The United States should keep control of rare metal resources because China now controls vast quantities of these resources throughout the globe. The control over rare earth supply chains has evolved into a key battleground between nations because these resources hold value that surpasses their basic worth on the market. Greenland possesses the ability to supply different nations with essential materials. This capacity to supply essential materials from Greenland to other countries secures the nation a vital military advantage against China. The United States needs to view Greenland as a security threat because it forms part of China's strategy to capture these vital resources. The complete resource potential of Greenland faces severe obstacles because of its current infrastructure limitations. The extraction process becomes more expensive and development operations face more obstacles because of the island's extreme weather conditions, its remote distance from main areas, and its small number of available transportation routes. The cost for essential infrastructure development exceeds multiple billion-dollar requirements, which need to include expenses for constructing ports and roads and processing plants and worker accommodation facilities. The expenses need evaluation against expected benefits, which face particular danger from fluctuating commodity rates and ecological issues. Greenland's leadership has studied development paths beyond resource extraction, which include tourism and fishing and possible establishment of data centers in the cold climate of the island. The economic branches need to explore alternative paths, which would deliver sustainable development solutions for their operations. The development of adventure tourism and ecotourism in Greenland faces multiple obstacles, which must be resolved before progress can occur. Greenland's unique landscapes and cultural heritage offer attractions for a growing market of specialized travelers seeking remote destinations. The three major power nations, China and Russia and the United States, show greater interest in rare earth metals than any other resource. Greenland's economic future will become completely different based on which scenario develops. The current financial structure of Denmark will remain unchanged under their autonomous status, while independence will require them to find other revenue sources to replace their loss of Danish funding. The costs associated with governing and maintaining services in a sparsely populated area will make economic independence elusive even with full resource development. The economic situation establishes limits on independence, which make it difficult to evaluate Greenland's future development. Another item we need to consider is the political dynamics surrounding Greenland. The political parties of Denmark use their power to shape domestic policies according to their own opinions about how to handle the Greenland question. The issue intersects with broader debates about Danish identity, colonial legacy, and international role. Danish public opinion currently holds the view that Denmark should keep its existing relationship with Greenland. However, there exists an increasing acceptance of Greenland's entitlement to self-governance. The political landscape creates a complex environment which needs to handle both historical ties and Greenlandic self-determination rights. The Greenland question within the United States relates directly to American resource security needs and strategic priorities and broader American global role discussions. Trump's proposal has generated both support and criticism across the political spectrum. Supporters emphasize the strategic importance of Greenland for American defense and economic interests, while critics question the feasibility and wisdom of acquisition attempts. This debate reflects larger divisions in American foreign policy approaches and global priorities. Different countries respond to the potential for Greenland to change its status in highly diverse ways. NATO allies generally support maintaining the current arrangement, while China and Russia have shown interest in increased engagement with an independent Greenland. NATO allies show a preference for keeping current agreements intact, while China and Russia express desire to expand their ties with an independent Greenland. These international reactions stem from more extensive geopolitical analyses, which evaluate strategic concerns tied to Arctic territorial sovereignty. Greenland will shape Danish-American relations. Greenland will shape Arctic power dynamics. Greenland's political parties show different opinions about when the country should gain independence. However, most parties express support for the nation's eventual independence. The different opinions about economic development and international relationships and social priorities create the Greenland's political environment undergoes modernization because the island builds new political institutions and establishes its future direction. The internal political dynamics of Greenland will decide the country's future direction despite all external forces trying to manipulate its course. The legal relationship between Denmark and Greenland exists under the jurisdiction of the Danish Constitution and the Self-Government Act of 2009. The frameworks permit Greenland to manage its own affairs while Denmark retains the right to manage foreign affairs and defense operations. Any change in Greenland's status would require careful navigation of these constitutional provisions, including potential amendments that might need Danish parliamentary approval. The legal situation becomes more complicated because every transition scenario must deal with multiple legal elements. The potential status changes of Greenland require assessment through international law frameworks, which include the self-determination principle established by the UN Charter. The legal principle gives people the right to choose their political status while they pursue their economic development goals. The framework creates both pathways for Greenland to accomplish its future goals while placing limitations on the execution of its ambitions through established international norms and legal obligations. Greenland's future links with Arctic governing bodies, which consist of the Arctic Council and various international treaties that handle environmental matters and resource management and maritime border enforcement. The governance systems that control Greenland's future create multiple obstacles for the island, which must choose between its authority over regional affairs and its connections to international organizations while determining its governance structure. You need to rewrite the text with lower perplexity and higher burstiness while you maintain the same word count and HTML elements. The legal situation between Greenland and its neighboring countries will become more complicated because of any changes to Greenland's existing status. The parties involved need to conduct negotiations about these specific matters, which might require them to obtain international mediation services. The legal complexities that must be addressed during this process show Greenland faces difficulties in its transition to independence regardless of which independence path the country selects. Greenland's Inuit majority population values their cultural heritage because it includes their language and traditional practices. The cultural factors of the island shape its future possibilities and its diplomatic ties with foreign nations. Greenlandic identity brings both advantages and difficulties that the island must manage. Cultural unity supports the process of nation creation, yet it generates distrust about any agreements that could endanger cultural independence. Language preservation represents a crucial aspect of Greenland's cultural strategy. The Greenlandic language has experienced revitalization in recent decades, though it faces challenges from globalization and the need for technical education in other languages. Education policies create educational conflicts because they try to preserve cultural values and fulfill current educational requirements by teaching traditional knowledge and modern technical skills. The educational problems show how the economy must choose between cultural preservation and economic expansion. Greenland requires traditional ecological knowledge to protect its existing resources while it moves toward contemporary development methods. The resource development activities on the island create tensions with environmental management duties and social policy implementation. The development of Greenland requires a solution which combines traditional knowledge with contemporary methods. The successful implementation of this solution will benefit indigenous communities which encounter comparable challenges. Greenland culture connects with Denmark and other Inuit communities living in Arctic regions. The cultural exchange process generates extra factors which shape the island's international affairs and its potential future developments. The cultural ties between Greenland and other countries enable Greenland to develop unique international partnerships which stem from their common historical connections. Greenland will use this method to establish its own economic systems and governmental institutions while keeping some of its Danish ties. The transition process will feature temporary defense and foreign policy and financial backing measures, which will establish specific milestones for Greenland to reach complete independence. The proposed timeline will honor both Greenlandic rights and existing governance capacity, which includes economic development potential. The second scenario presents independence through resource discovery, which brings economic advancements to the nation. The successful mining operations in the realm of rare earth elements will provide the financial resources needed to accelerate the process of gaining national independence. The scenario would lead to American and Western companies investing in the area, which would create new economic ties for the political independence process. American companies and Western firms would invest in the area, which would lead to new economic relationships that would emerge with political independence. The agreement might involve the United States and NATO taking over Danish defense duties as security pact to replace Danish military obligations. The third possibility involves Greenland continuing to expand its autonomy rights without achieving complete sovereignty. Greenland will gain more authority, yet it will retain some Danish government systems, especially those related to defense and financial assistance. The incremental approach provides Greenland with a practical development method that allows for gradual development while maintaining existing beneficial relationships with Denmark. The system allows for changes to the relationship during different time periods. The system does not appeal to both the United States and other international powers who might want to establish relations with Greenland. The United States might develop closer ties with Greenland through partial control of Greenland territories. The United States will strengthen its security ties with Greenland through new defense agreements without changing the current sovereignty situation. The United States will establish new economic ties with Greenland through investment and scientific partnerships. The United States will establish new security ties with Greenland through defense agreements. The approach will help America meet its strategic goals while giving Greenland the right to control its own affairs. The special relationship enables the United States to obtain most of the benefits from Greenland without making a formal territorial acquisition. Greenland will establish relationships with Denmark and the United States and China and other countries through its international relations. The multipolar approach will create Western nations maximize their economic advantages while Western nations will protect their strategic national security interests. The method needs to be implemented through diplomatic efforts, which must handle multiple competing interests while protecting Greenland's ability to operate independently. The process has potential to create conflicts between NATO and other military alliances. The process requires new nations to have skilled leaders who lack advanced leadership abilities. The available method leads me to believe that the two sides will enter into armed conflict. Greenland exists in its present state between its history of colonialism and its goal of complete independence, while it also faces the choice between its ancient traditions and modern economic growth, and between international power struggles and its right to self-determination. The island creates a set of conditions which needs special methods to find solutions because of its large land area and small number of residents, and its position as a strategic point and its abundant natural resources. The United States should handle its Greenland affairs by operating in accordance with every treaty which grants Greenlanders the right to choose their political status. The current administration could abandon all acquisition desires and forward their strategic interests through partnerships, which will lead to Greenland citizen sovereignty. The United States should establish diplomacy to pursue its Greenland interests through tiered security arrangements which do not violate self-determination principles. Before I go, I need to bring you up to date on a top story that just came out of Fox News after Trump left Davos, Switzerland at the WEF conference, where he announced that he and the NATO head have made a framework of an agreement, which he is okay with, that would seem to give the United States more control over Greenland. What the exact framework is was not announced, and whether the rest of the EU would agree to it is also not known, but it seemed to be a framework from which Europe and America can negotiate. Follow this closely, as it is very important from several standpoints which we covered in this video. This is the end of the second video in the series on Greenland. You can access the next video in this series and all other videos through our website nehemiahreset.org or our rumble.com and youtube.com channels. We publish new videos every week. You can receive updates about our new videos every week by subscribing to our weekly email notification system on nehemiahreset.org/email. The channel needs your support through your partnership, which will help us share these important videos with a larger audience. The entire team wishes you a wonderful day as you finish watching our video. Are you looking for a limitless supply of insightful reads to expand your mind and transform your life? Look no further than Nehemiah Reset's ebook library, where knowledge meets inspiration at nehemiahreset.org ebook. Go there today to discover a wealth of valuable resources to help you on your personal and professional journey to build a biblical worldview. Learn more about the Bible and how culture is impacting your worldview. Again, the ebook library is located at nehemiahreset.org ebook. Hope to see you soon. My name is Daniel. I am one of the spokespersons for Nehemiah Reset. The prior video was sponsored by Nehemiah Reset, a 501c3. Our mission is to assist Christians in developing a biblical worldview as it pertains to relevant cultural and biblical issues. We seek to inform Christ's followers, equip them, and mobilize them in action to vote for their biblical values and actively engage in our. We are also committed to help Christians and non-believers to develop a better biblical view. Nehemiah Reset produces videos and ebooks to assist members of the church in developing a biblical worldview when it comes to cultural issues. We produce videos on key topics like public school indoctrination, the woke agenda, sex education, equity and inclusion, climate change, immigration, religious freedom, and much, much more. To learn more about Nehemiah Reset or to watch our latest videos, go to our website at nehemiahreset.org or our rumble.com channel. We produce 2 to 3 videos every week. To get a weekly list of our latest videos, sign up for our weekly newsletter by going to nehemiahreset.org/email and subscribe. You can support our website by liking our videos, subscribing to our channels, or helping us reach more people through tax-exempt donations. Thanks for your help in growing God's kingdom and bringing more people to Christ. Thank you for your support and help. Come back again soon. Have a great day.